I met Osho in 1978. I went to India um, traveling. I was not looking for a master. I did not even understand at the time what means to have a master, because I grew up in Italy, in the West, where we don't have this concept of master disciple. Actually, the concept of master is even seen as something not so good, because it looks like you depend by somebody, you give away yourself to somebody. So, and I belonged at that time also to a generation that was very rebellious against any authority. So the idea of uh, depending to somebody was totally not my idea. But I came to know some sannyasis at that time in my hometown, and I was fascinated by them. They had a certain vibration that I could not explain at that time. They were wearing orange, they were laughing, smiling, being light and friendly. And they were talking about this master in India called Bhagwan. At the time it was called Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. And I wanted to travel India, actually, not only going to Pune, where Bhagwan at the time was living. I wanted to do a trip to India, because again in that generation I belong. Beatles went to India, some American writers like Allen Ginsberg was going to India, so there was a kind of attraction to do this journey. And so I said, okay, let's go to India, and let's go also to Pune. Let's go and see what this man is. And I arrived there December 78, and the place was fantastic. I mean, there were people from all over the world with a lot of energy, a lot of Jews. And after 2 days, I asked to meet him, but I was not understanding what to be a sannyasi and a disciple meant. But I say, okay, let's do it. Let's take this. Um, let's do this thing. But I was sure, like, to do the thing and then go away. Just had another experience in my life. In fact, one funny anecdote can be that he gave me sannyas that day, and there was a piece of paper with my name written by him. And when I went out of it was called Chansu, where now there is a samadhi. Actually, that was the place where he was meeting people and giving sannyas or talking to people. And when I went out, I had this piece of paper with my name written by him, and it looked like a certificate, which for me was a bit a nonsense. I mean, why should I have a certificate? I was a rebel against any kind of institutional certificate. So I cut the piece with his signature and with my name, which still I have, and I threw the certificate away. That's the first time I met him was already something quite strong. I remember he was talking to me at a distance like this one. Now we are taking the interview, and I remember that I was looking at his face, and his face was changing, becoming very old. Not even old, ancient, like hundreds of years. And then in a split second, it was becoming like that of a child. And that was something I never experienced before in any person. And at the time I was smoking marijuana and ashes, but that day I was not smoking, so I said, what am I? I'm not under drugs, why I see this? Later on, I read in books that when you are in the presence of an enlightened being who does not live in time anymore, but we still live in time, we still have a mind, so we try to put like a frame to the picture. That's why I was looking at him as if he was old or young or kid. It was my mind trying to put a frame, trying to figure it out, something that was the first time I encountered in my life, somebody living not in the mind, not in the time, not in the space. And other things happened that day, the day of my darshan. That's the name of the meeting we had at the time. Darshan is an Indian name, meaning I think to be in the present, to see. It means to see, literally. So that was the sannyas darshan. And so I got these experiences very strong, but I can't say that I became a sannyasi in that day. I'll tell you when I became a sannyasi. I mean, I stayed in the ashram for 2-3 months, and it was beautiful. I participated in the groups that we were doing at the time, and a lot meeting people, coming to know people from different countries. It was very, very beautiful. But still, I wanted to travel India. That was the reason why I went there. So I said bye to the friends after 2 months, and I bought a ticket to go to north, going to the mountains, going to Rishikesh. Rishikesh was the place where the Beatles went before, and so I wanted to see this place near the Ganges. And I remember I bought the ticket. I took the train from Pune, Bombay, and then Bombay had to go north. And when I was on the train from Pune to Bombay, it was like an inner voice saying, "Where are you going? Your master is there, is back." And that was something that happened like, he's my master, yes. So I jumped down the train. The train was very slow, like Indian trains at that time. They're still slow, but at the time they were even slower. I jumped down the train and I took another train. I went back and I stayed there the 6 months. But that was the moment in which I recognized, I acknowledged that he was my master, he is my master. And sometimes in life you can have these experiences that you first do one experience, like for example, you meet a woman, or a woman meets a man, or whatever. They can go into bed the same day, the same night, or some days after, but the realization of the love they may have for each other can happen later. It's not that making love is meaning that you are with that person. And for me, it was the same. Not that when I took sannyas, it meant that I became a sannyasi, but that was me. Other people I know, before taking sannyas, they did meditation, they wait, and then they were ready and they took sannyas. But I am another kind of person. If I am attracted to something, I do the experience, and then maybe I understand what I've done later on. That was when I met Osho first time, and of course it changed my life, and now we are 45 years later, and many things, a lot of waters passed down the Ganges, let's say. I lived in Pune, I went to Rajneeshpuram, then I went back to my country, to Italy. I opened a Osho discotheque. At the time it was called Zorba the Buddha, and then I started to write books. I even made a movie now about Osho. My career, so-called about movie director, is a little similar to what I said before for sannyas. I did not study to be a filmmaker. I didn't go to any film school. And I had a certain talent in writing that was with me always since my childhood. So I wrote a novel which was published, and out of that novel I felt that I wanted to do a movie. But how to make a movie if you've never done a movie? So first I offered the novel to some directors, some people I knew who were working in the film industry, and I started to be with them. I started to go on the sets where they were shooting films. And at a certain point I felt, well, I would like to direct, but I had no experience at all. So again, if I felt attracted to something, I go for it, which is also what Osho always says, now go follow your heart, follow your passion. And so I went to Rome. In Italy, Roma is the place where it's Cinecittà and all the film industry is happening. It's not Milan, it's not another city. If you want to do movies in Italy, you have to go to Rome. All the industry is there. So I started to go there. I was at that time 30, something like 33, 34. I was doing other things before, totally different than making movies. And I started to be in Rome. I started to hang out with directors. I came to know famous people like Bertolucci. Fellini is from my hometown, Rimini. I used to know him already, his sister. And I felt that I wanted to direct the movie from my script, I mean, from the novel. I wrote a script after the novel. That was quite easy because still belongs to the writing aspect. So I read some books how to write scripts, and I changed the novel into a script. And there are different ways to write scripts. And that was still manageable because writing was something I knew. I took, I shared with some professional script writers, I took advices, but the script part was pretty okay. But how to shoot a movie, how to make a movie was something I never did before. But still, with my crazy approach to life, or normal approach to life, for us, it's normal to be like that. I opened a company actually, and I asked to a loan. Somebody told me the Italian government gives loans to newcomers because I didn't find producer. I tried for a while to find a producer, but it was not easy. In fact, it's still not easy nowadays to find a producer. And so I opened this company and I applied to the Italian government for a loan that they give to newcomers. And I was good enough or lucky enough that after 2 years, there was a process of 2 years, I won this prize with others. So I got the money to do my first film. And I did my first film, like it's called feature film. I mean, when you have actors and when it's a long, more than 1 hour, and then it was done at the time with the reels. Now everything is digital, but at the time it was done with reels. 35 millimeters was the. And I did that movie, first movie, without having done anything before. No shorts, no documentaries, no clips, even pictures. I mean, I was shooting some photos, but very little. I mean, I was a normal, it's like a viewer of films, going to cinemas and look at films like any other fellow. I didn't have a bigger or better preparation. There was just a call to do this without any technical expertise. But again, I was capable and lucky enough to have a great director of photography, who is one of the best in Italy still. And he actually worked with Bertolucci later, and Abel Ferrara, and other great directors. We became friends. He liked my story. We liked each other. So he was the director of photography that in the movie technical area is the one who makes the technical shot. We were working together, like he was asking me where I would like to have the scene, where I would like to put the actors. So I gave him some ideas out of my intuition, but technically he was doing the thing. That's how it happens in movies. So the technical part was taken care by him. And I shot my first film, was called Blue Line. Was a story taken from this novel that I wrote before. It's a story happening all in one night. It's a kind of dream in my hometown, Rimini. And it even went to the Venice Film Festival. It was selected after I've done it to the prestigious film Festival di Venezia, di Venice. It was not really considered well by the critics, but still I had like a breakthrough by going to that festival. Then we went to other festivals around the world. It was not commercially successful at all, but I broke the ice. I felt I can do this, even if technically speaking I don't know much. Still, I don't know much up to date, technically speaking. But the intuition, the taste, the capacity to lead actors, so to speak, that has been with me all the time before by dealing with people and doing also therapy groups. You learn how to deal with human beings, telling them do this, do that, or explore this, explore that. In fact, with my actors in my films, I've tried to work also with meditation techniques like dynamic and kundalini. I was asking to the actors to do even family constellation. Once we were preparing a movie and we were using the family constellation methods to for the story that the actors had to perform, like in the family constellation. Anyone was playing the role that he was supposed to play in the film, and there was one constellator, how you call it? I mean, the therapist, facilitators, who was using the family constellation method to see and to make the connection between the characters and the actors who had to play the characters more clear. So I used these techniques with my actors in the films I've done, and that was the first film. Then it was not successful financially and commercially, so I had to struggle again to find a producer for the second one, which happened a few years after, that I called Zorba the Buddha. I used the name that Osho gave for the human, and I wrote a story in which I invented a character who could be a modern Zorba. He was a DJ, actually, in the story I wrote. And a woman who was like a Buddha. She was traveling around the world with the boat, very much detached by the things of life. And I wrote this script of these two characters meeting, falling in love, and having this duality of material and spirit. And that was my second film, who went again around the world in festival. Again, was not really financially and commercially successful. So this film about Osho is now a documentary. Before doing that, I was trying for many years to do a real feature film on Osho with actors. I spent a lot of time in Mumbai, meeting a lot of people in the Indian industry, producers, actors. The story of Osho from his childhood till his death, seen through the eyes of people who were with him, physically speaking. In fact, when I started the project, I did not know exactly what to do. I just knew that I knew those people because they were my friends. We were living together in the communes, people that now are famous as therapists, as musicians like Miten or Joshua, or therapists like Rafia or Turia. We were together in the communes over the years, so I was thinking that they could give me their interviews in a way that maybe was different than other interviews they can give to normal filmmakers, because we could share the same experience. In fact, many times we had these interviews, we cried, we used to remembering those times and crying together. So I started to collect material from these interviews going around the world, and then we went to India also. We shot something in his native places in North India, in Madhya Pradesh, the village where he was born, Kuchvada, in the city where he grew up, Gadavara, and the city where he was a professor of philosophy, where he got enlightened, Jabalpur. So I started to collect material, and then I started to put together the interviews, pieces of interviews with the material, and the thing started to unfold by itself. There was not a real script before. At a certain point, it took its flow, and I think it's nice because it's describing Osho's life that is known. Well, something is not that known much. I made a lot of researches. I mean, I knew those facts, but I made a lot of researches in what was happening in America, and I tried to explain those facts also from a journalistic point of view, even including some possible critics to, I interviewed people who were even against him or left him, ex-disciples, so it's a journalistic work also giving 360-degree vision of this story. And the title is in fact 10,000 Shades of Osho, the title of the series, which I played with the famous book and film 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of Black, 50 Shades of Red. I changed the number 50 in 10,000 because 10,000 is the number Osho used to say the Buddhas with me when he was giving lectures, 10,000 Buddhas. So it became 10,000 Shades of Osho, meaning all these possible shades, visions, colors around him, bad, less bad, good, more good. But of course, it's a love affair with the master. I mean, the thread, the warmth there is totally that of love.